Have you ever heard of a criminal organization so powerful, so wealthy, that it rivals multinational corporations? A group that doesn't just operate in the shadows, but has infiltrated the very fabric of society, from local businesses to global finance. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the world's richest and most sophisticated crime gang. This isn't a Hollywood movie. This is real. Their story begins not in a dimly lit backroom, but in the bustling port cities of Asia. Decades ago, a small group of ambitious individuals saw an opportunity in the chaos of post-war economias. They weren't your typical street thugs. They were smart, strategic, and understood the power of logistics. Their initial ventures were simple: smuggling goods that were heavily taxed or in short supply. Tobacco, alcohol, luxury items, anything people wanted but couldn't easily get. This early success gave them the capital and the connections they needed to expand. They realized that controlling the supply chain was the key to unimaginable wealth. So, they started investing, not in flashy cars or mansions, but in infrastructure. They bought shipping companies, warehouses, and trucking firms, often through legitimate-looking front companies. They became masters of moving goods across borders, quietly and efficiently. While other gangs were fighting turf wars with fists and guns, this group was fighting on a different battlefield: the stock market and the world of international trade. They were pioneers of a new kind of organized crime, one that looked more like corporate raiding than a gangster movie. They weren't just criminals. They were becoming a clandestine global enterprise. Their next big leap was into the world of high-tech crime. As the internet age dawned, they saw its potential long before law enforcement did. They recruited brilliant but disenfranchised programmers and hackers from around the world. Their goal: to weaponize the digital world. They moved from smuggling physical goods to trafficking in something far more valuable: information. They developed sophisticated phishing schemes, ransomware attacks, and complex online fraud networks. They stole credit card numbers by the millions, drained bank accounts with a few keystrokes, and held corporate data hostage for astronomical sums. But they did it with a level of organization that was terrifying. They had customer service departments for their ransomware victims, and R&D divisions constantly developing new cyber weapons. The money pouring in was staggering: billions of dollars. But this created a new problem. How do you clean that much dirty money? This is where their true genius emerged. They didn't just rely on old-school casinos or offshore accounts. They built a global, multi-layered money laundering machine that was virtually undetectable. They invested in legitimate businesses on a massive scale: real estate developments in major world cities, luxury hotel chains, tech startups in Silicon Valley, and even sustainable energy projects. Your favorite coffee shop or that new downtown skyscraper could, unknowingly, be part of their portfolio. They used complex shell corporations spanning dozens of countries, making the money trail impossible for investigators to follow. They exploited legal loopholes in international finance with the help of corrupt lawyers and accountants, turning black money into legitimate, taxable assets. This economic power gave them a new kind of influence. They didn't need to bribe a single police officer on the street. They could influence policy at a national level. By owning critical infrastructure and employing thousands of people through their legitimate businesses, they became too big to fail. Cracking down on them could mean triggering a local economic crisis, a risk many governments were unwilling to take. They operated with a strict corporate-like structure. At the top sits a mysterious board of directors, known only by coding. Their identities are the most closely guarded secret in the criminal underworld. Below them are regional managers, each overseeing operations on a specific continent. Then you have division heads for their various business units: cybercrime, logistics, finance, and enforcement. Unlike traditional mafias, bound by blood or ethnicity, this organization is a true meritocracy. They recruit the best talent, regardless of background. A brilliant programmer from Eastern Europe could be working alongside a finance expert from London and a logistics genius from Singapore. This diversity is their strength, allowing them to adapt and innovate faster than any rival or law enforcement agency. Their code of conduct is simple and brutal. Loyalty is rewarded handsomely, but betrayal is met with swift and silent elimination. They rarely use public displays of violence, as that attracts unwanted attention. Instead, people who cross them simply disappear. It's clean, efficient, and sends a terrifying message to those in the know. So, what are law enforcement agencies doing about this? It's like fighting a ghost. International cooperation is notoriously difficult. The gang exploits jurisdictional boundaries, moving operations and assets from one country to another the moment they feel any heat. The sheer complexity of their financial networks requires a level of expertise and resources that most police forces simply do UNT. Task forces have been formed, bringing together agents from the FBI, Interpol, and other national agencies. They've had small victories, arresting mid-level managers or shutting down a specific server farm, but it's like cutting a head off the Hydra. Two more grow in its place. The core leadership remains untouched, insulated by layers of subordinates and legal firewalls. The scariest part is that their influence continues to grow. They are now moving into new frontiers like artificial intelligence, using it to automate their scams and predict law enforcement tactics. They are even rumored to be manipulating financial markets and influencing political elections, moving beyond mere profit to actively shaping the world in their favor. This is the new face of organized crime. It's not about flashy gangsters. It's about faceless executives in boardrooms. It's a silent war being fought, not on the streets, but on the internet, in the stock market, and in the corridors of power. Their rise serves as a chilling reminder that in our interconnected world, the greatest threats are often the ones we can't see. They are a shadow empire, richer and more powerful than any before them, and their story is far from over. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into the modern underworld fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation. See you in the next video.